Lesson 2, Unit 5. The Project Support Plans, Part 2. We continue with the support plans. We're going to look at the next set of support processes. The next processes that require plans are information management, risk management, and contract management. The information management plan deals with efficient use of project information. To develop this plan, the project manager and the team need to have a good understanding of the information requirements of the stakeholders and use an information matrix to organize all the information needs. The information requirements help answer the following questions. Who needs information? These are the key stakeholders of the project who make decisions. Why they need information? It describes how they will use the information provided by the project. When they need it, stakeholders need timely information to make critical decisions. In what format do they need information? Each stakeholder might have a preferred format and channel to receive the information. The requirements also identify who will be in charge of preparing the information and who will be responsible for sending the information. The information matrix helps organize the information requirements. The table will list all the stakeholders that need information from the project, describes the purpose of the information and the format to send information. Some stakeholders might have specific requirements about how the information is needed from the project. In the matrix, the project manager needs to identify the team members that will be responsible for preparing the information and who will be responsible for sending that information. Another important element of matrix is the frequency the information is needed. It helps develop a calendar to mark important dates when information needs to be distributed to the different stakeholders. Development projects produce large amounts of information, the baseline monitoring evaluation surveys. This information needs to be distributed to inform the different stakeholders. There may be different needs. Some of them are required. For example, a donor has a need to know the project progress. A government needs information on health changes in a local community. And other stakeholders, like partners and institutions, may need information to help them coordinate activities with the project. The goal of information management plan is to help stakeholders make the right decisions at the right time with the right information. The risk management plan is used to identify, categorize, and respond to all risks that might negatively impact the project. The team will identify all possible risks and rate the risks by levels of impact and probability, organize them in categories, develop response strategies, and the project manager will assign an owner to each risk. One approach to complete this plan is to have a brainstorming session where the team and even some key stakeholders identify all the risks based on the information they have at the time, analyzing all possible events that might have a negative impact on the project. The use of a matrix helps organize information. For each one of the risks, the team will identify the levels of probability and the levels of impact. The levels can use a simple scale of high, medium, or low. Then, based on that information, the team will develop the risk factor, which is the multiplication of the probability level times the impact level. For example, for risk C has a high level of probability and a high level of impact, and the risk factor will be 9. That information will help prioritize the resources respond to the risk, and this risk will be marked with priority 1, with a response strategy to avoid the risk. The use of a risk heat map can help determine the threat level of each risk. This heat map or matrix helps identify the severity of a risk based on the levels of probability and impact. Risks that fall on the red or orange zone should be considered as high threat and require immediate action to eliminate the impact to the project. Those risks that fall on the yellow zones are considered medium threat, and a plan should be developed to reduce their impact on the project. Risks that fall on the green zones are considered low threat. They are risks that don't need much attention other than monitored during the life of the project. This matrix helps focus the project resources and prioritize actions to work on risks that can have an impact to the project. With information on the risk heat map, the team will decide on the type of response strategies to manage the different risks. The objective is to focus the resources on those risks that have a high risk factor. For example, the risks that are identified with values 9 are risks that the project needs to take immediate action and try to avoid or reduce the impact of that risk. The second level is to mitigate. That is a level 6. The project will make changes or take preventive actions to reduce the impact of the risk into the project. Then the other level is for risk with an index of 4. Here, the strategy can be to transfer the risk to another party. An example could be an activity in which a team doesn't have the experience or the skills needed. The project manager might decide to transfer that responsibility to a third party, a partner, or a consultant to reduce the risk to the project. The last one is to accept the risk. The level of impact and the probability of the risk are low. That even if that happens, the costs or delays to the project are minimal and is less expensive than implementing a response. The project manager will monitor this risk to see if there are any changes during the life of the project. The risk management plan will organize all that information. It will have a description of all the risk, information about the consequences if that risk should happen. Each risk has been assigned a risk level, and for each one of those risks, the team identifies and develops a response strategy. There will be an action date, which is when the response strategy needs to take place. The plan will identify an owner, a team member that will be assigned to carry the activities to reduce the risk. Finally, a column to keep track of the status of the actions. This information helps monitor the progress on how the responses are making progress. One problem with risk is that they tend to change over time. During the implementation phase, it is not unusual to see that the risk levels change and even new risks are identified. That is why it is critical that a team has the opportunity to review the plan on a regular basis and make the necessary changes. The other important management plan that is part of the contract processes is the procurement management plan. The procurement of all goods and services required by the project requires a lot of time and effort. That is why there is a need to have a procurement plan that helps manage this process. The plan is aligned with the WBS and the schedule. It includes a detailed description of the items to procure, the type of contract, which includes the contract terms set by the donor for some type of purchases, information about the budget, which includes how much money has been assigned for purchasing. The plan also includes information to track variances from the planned cost with the actual cost. This helps track budget variances. The plan includes the due date when the goods or services are needed at the project site, and that reflects the need to align with the project schedule. Finally, information to keep track of the general status to monitor progress. This is how a procurement plan can look like. This is an opportunity for the team to start working together with representatives from the procurement and administrative units in the organization who are supporting the project. These units need to understand the procurement needs of the project as well as the schedule and budget constraints. This plan is also a monitoring tool to review the status of all the procurements in the project. It is used by the team on a regular basis to monitor if any order is on time or is delayed. If there are any variations from the plan, you need to identify the causes for the problems and make the necessary changes.